People are getting added. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I am happy to welcome you to another one of our monthly information sessions here at the Alaska Tribal Resilience Network. We're just still letting a few people in. Good to see some familiar faces. I'm Melinda Chase, and I'll be hosting this session today, which I'm really excited to be offering. It is Molly of Denali, co-developing a community science children's camp. And this was a project that I was involved with another one of my hats, working with our interior Alaska Native educators. And so I have been able to watch this project come online and be involved with it. And I'm really happy to share it with all of you. It started, of course, based on the character of Molly as how do we utilize Molly, who is an Alaska Native character developed under an initiative to provide children's programming for or through the through GBH Boston's public television station. And it's just really exciting to see it come together. And before we get started, I'll just share with you some of our, before we get started, I do need to ask everybody to make sure to mute themselves, and please do introduce yourself in the chat function. It's great to hear where everybody's at. And also if you want to share something that you plan to do for the summer, something that is positive. We certainly have stressors going on across our communities, but this is a positive presentation today to see about some of the things we could do with children's programming. But it would be great to hear what you guys are doing for the summer. So I just want to, of course, recognize that we are all on traditional lands here in Alaska. And in particular, those of us who are based here in Fairbanks at the University of Alaska Fairbanks International Arctic Research Center are on Trothietha campus. That is the traditional homelands of the Lower Tanana Dene. And we also have staff on Dena'ina Ethlana, as well as some of our staff in the communities in Quinahawk and Shaktoolik. If maybe some of you can mute yourself, or Krista, if you can mute folks, that would be a help. The Alaska Tribal Resilience Learning Network, for those of you who have been on, this is a familiar slide. We are a team of people that really tries to provide support to our tribes across Alaska and communities that are really addressing resilience issues, and then trying to also deal with climate impacts. And so our role is to be support, and we do that with this amazing team here. And of course, we provide services and support through those tribes through one-on-one technical assistance, check-in calls. We put out a monthly, or actually every 3 weeks, an e-bulletin. And then we have information sessions, and annually we provide training. So hopefully you'll take a look at the website. There's a lot of information there, in particular, some of our information sessions like this. So, and then finally, we have a couple of announcements that I want to make as we are entering into the summer season. We just want to let you know there's, oftentimes we try to share current events that are happening there. What I know is happening this summer is the Arctic Encounters 2025 Symposium is happening the end of July. That is an event that usually happens in the springtime. And there is resources for rural residents and elders to attend that in terms of covering the registration, but not travel and lodging. There's also currently tribal consultation that's happening under the Department of Interior. Many of you may know that they're looking at some major restructuring of Department of Interior, including Indian Affairs, and also under USGS and the Climate Science Center. And so you may want to participate and or become familiar with some of those efforts there. And also looking at addressing permitting procedures under the National Environmental Protection Act and Historic Preservation Act. The deadline for those written comments is July 7th, and yesterday there was a tribal consultation for Alaska tribes that was immensely attended, and it was great to see the turnout and for our Alaska tribes to stand up together and share some of their perspectives on the changes that are being proposed. And finally, we are on a summer break for our information session. After this one, we will be back with our information sessions in September 2025. A few of our staff, including myself, will be on summer leave, but we will have our tribal liaisons, additional tribal liaisons, Lori and Jolene and Geraldine, who will still be on for the summer. And I just wanted to share this pretty picture. It's a picture of Krista Haringa. She's one of our, she's our coordinator for the AKTRLN. She has a summer peonies farm, and I just thought this was an appropriate picture. So what we're here for today is to hear from our guest. I'm really excited to introduce these three people. And it's great to know that they'll be sharing with you this summer camp that we all helped deliver in Hoonah, as well as Bethel, and then had involvement from the community of Northway. But today we'll be highlighting Hoonah's experience. Mary Haggerty is with GBH Boston. It's a public media station there. And Mary was involved with the early conception of Molly of Denali. She came up with the team that was exploring the idea of having a children's television character based on our own experience and people here in Alaska. So it's great to see that she's here to share this today. And then Amelia and Rebecca are with the Hoonah Heritage Foundation. They're an amazing local team that really do a lot in Hoonah for all ages through the Heritage Foundation. And they were just really a pleasure to work with in the delivery of this camp and this project. So I will turn it over to Mary, and we'll get started.
Great, thank you so much. And hi, everyone. I think it's more good morning where you all are. It's afternoon where I am. So I am going to share my screen. So bear with me just a moment. Okay. Now, I am not going to be able to see folks, so I'm going to rely on my colleagues to let me know if the picture goes out or if the audio goes out. We have 3 videos that we're going to show, and for whatever reason, each video is coming in at its own audio level, so they're all different. The first one's a little low, the second one's a little high, and the third one, I think it might be a 3 bears situation. The third one might be just perfect. So just kind of fair warning on that. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Melinda, can you and everyone else see my full screen?
Yep, looks good.
Awesome. Okay, so we're really excited to share information today with you about Molly Salmon Protector Camp. This is a camp for elementary school age kids. It's designed to teach them about salmon while also developing their sense of environmental stewardship. We define environmental stewardship as the knowledge, dispositions, skills, and empathy to act responsibly for the environment. The camp builds on the Molly of Denali PBS KIDS series that GBH produces, as Melinda mentioned, and it's funded by a grant from the U.S. National Science Foundation. And in today's presentation, we're going to discuss the camp resources that we co-developed. We'll hear from Amelia and Rebecca about what it was like not only to co-develop the materials, but also what it was like to implement the camp in Hoonah. We'll talk a little bit about what we learned from this experience, and then we'll give you a sense of what's next for the project. And hang on one sec. Okay, great. But before we get started, I want to acknowledge the large group of people who contributed to this project. Some, but not all, are pictured on this slide. But our contributors basically fall into three groups. So at the center is our co-design team, and these are folks that created all the camp resources. The team is made up of staff from GBH, community members from three communities in Alaska: Bethel, Hoonah, and Northway. Partners including the Association of Interior Native Educators that Melinda is involved with, and also Alaska Public Media, that's your public broadcaster. Then there's the research team. As I mentioned, they investigated how kids develop a sense of environmental stewardship and the opportunities for media to accelerate that development and contribute positively. And then we had an evaluation team. We worked with a bunch of folks from Goldstream Group in Fairbanks, and they did two things. First, they documented the co-design process, and then second, they conducted a study to gauge the scale-up potential of the camp model. And I know that Amelia and Rebecca are going to be talking in a moment when we get to next steps for the project, about what some of their plans are to take the model a bit further. So as you can see, the project took not just a village, but several villages. We couldn't have done it any other way. So what is this camp? Well, Molly Salmon Protector Camp is a 2-day camp. It was originally developed for 6 to 8-year-olds, and it's composed of about 10 hours of programming. Now, we say 6 to 8, that's kind of our sweet spot. But again, as Amelia and Rebecca will tell you, that in Hoonah, we had kids who were outside of, like younger than the 6 to 8 group, older than the 6 to 8 group, and everyone not only had a good time, but they got something out of it, which is great. And as I mentioned, the camp is centered on learning about salmon, and there's some key components that I just wanted to share with you. The first is Molly of Denali animated and live action videos designed to get kids excited about salmon and then introduce them to some really important salmon topics that focus on science, like life cycles, habitat, food webs. There are both indoor and outdoor activities that are culturally relevant and tied to meaningful and seasonally appropriate harvesting practices. The camp also features presentations and talks by local knowledge holders like elders, scientists, and culture bearers. And then there are opportunities for kids to observe and reflect, and they do that in a couple ways. One is through an actual physical science journal that they each receive at the beginning of the camp, and then throughout the camp, they're prompted to draw something that they were exposed to, that they learned, that they like, etc. And then the second way is also a science journal, but this is a digital app, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And because we wanted the kids to have a concrete goal to work toward through the camp, we also structured the camp around having kids complete activities to earn a Salmon Protector badge. And you'll see on the screen that's what each camper earned and got to take home. So let's do a slightly deeper dive on each of these components. So we'll start with the animations. So we created 4 animated shorts that were integrated into the camp activities. We started out by brainstorming with our series writers and story editors and with partners and community representatives. Some of you may know some of the folks that we worked with who were involved not only in this, but also in the production. And because our 3 partner communities represent Athabascan, Tlingit, and Yupik cultures, we wanted to find a way to incorporate different traditions, languages, and cultural practices into these new animations. And we produced 4, and these are the titles of each. I'll just go through them really quickly. So Happy Salmon, I'm going to show you that in just a moment. In Happy Salmon, Molly introduces the idea of the Salmon Protector badge, and she earns her first check mark toward the badge by learning about salmon behavior during a visit to the southeast region of Alaska with her cousin Randall. Salmon Cycle is the next one, and that's, and this is the one I'm going to show you. Grandpa Nat helps Molly earn her second check mark by learning about salmon life cycles and visiting a salmon spawning habitat near her home in Kaya. The next is one in Acrylion. Molly goes to the seashore to visit a scientist, Dr. Locklear, to learn more about the salmon food web. And then the final one, We Celebrate Salmon. Molly earns her final check mark and receives her badge by learning how to honor salmon with the help of Tui's mom, who's from Southwest Alaska. So now I'm going to show you Salmon Cycle. And it'll take a sec, and you'll see the countdown. Here we go. There's the countdown.
Salmon Cycle. My seat, Chada. Thanks!
You're welcome. What you got there?
Tui and I are earning our Salmon Protector badge. We're on the second item on the checklist.
Explore salmon habitat. Huh.
Is a habitat where the salmon live?
Yes. A habitat is where salmon can find everything they need to live and be healthy. And I know just the place to see a salmon habitat. I'll show you. This was my favorite stream to come to with Shih Tzu.
Whoa! There's so many king salmon!
There sure are. Now, observing is using all your senses to notice the salmon and their habitat. So, what do you observe?
The salmon are moving around so much. It looks like they're digging in the gravel?
Good observations. They're spawning. That's when the salmon lay their eggs.
They're digging to bury their eggs?
Yes, that's why this place is special. And why Shih Tzu told us, never play in the water here.
So you don't hurt their eggs?
Haha, können Sie, Molly. The Flukjo need a safe place for their eggs to rest until they hatch. Now, record as much as you can about what you observe.
On it, Chada! You got it! Whoa! Wow! Amazing! Awesome! Come on, Tui, let's get to work. Hey, Tui, look at this. Whoa. Cool. Grandpa, the salmon die after they spawn, don't they?
They do.
So the salmon feed the eagles when they're alive, and when they die, their bodies even feed the trees.
The salmon are teaching you so much.
This place really is special, Chada. No wonder they spawn here.
Now you understand why this habitat is so important to the salmon's life. You're officially on your way to being salmon protectors.
Yes! You hear that, Salmon? We're learning how to protect you.
Okay, so you'll notice that that was an unfinished animation. They're called animatics, and all four of these were animatics. We hope to seek additional funds to finish them. But honestly, I don't think that the kids lost anything by watching animatics as opposed to fully animated videos. The narrative structure is there, and it's also kind of fun because kids get to see kind of the making of videos. So they were all really super popular. And in addition to the four animatics, we had two live action. One, Salmon Hatchery, was taken from a previous season, and it's kids in Anchorage going to a salmon hatchery and learning about the life cycle of salmon. And then Salmon Science is a new live action that we produced in Bethel. And the adult that you see demonstrating ASL testing is Avery Hoffman. He's a fish biologist from Bethel. He works for the Kuskokwim Intertribal Fish Commission, and he was, again, teaching kids how to do ASL testing and how to count the rings and things like that, which was a whole lot of fun. And Elder Helen Pollock is also featured in this video, and she talked about the significance of salmon for the region, and shared some family stories, which was really nice. Okay, so let's talk just for a moment about some of the activities that we developed. So basically, all of our activities were hands-on. There were two kind of central activities that we developed. The first is Salmon Life Cycle Role Play, and this is where kids receive their own Salmon Life Cycle wheel necklace. And as they listen to a story about the life cycle of salmon being read aloud, they get to rotate their salmon wheel necklace to the corresponding stage, and then they get to act out that stage from hatching from an egg, hiding from predators, looking for food, swimming to the ocean, and finally swimming back upstream to spawn and start the cycle all over again. And then there's Salmon Tag, which is a predator-prey tag game. It's really similar to sharks and minnows. Kids are assigned to one of several group salmon or different types of predators. And then the salmon try to make their way from the ocean to their spawning ground without being caught by a predator. And it's one of the most popular games that we have in the camp. The kids wear designated bandanas or scarves so that they're easily identified, and kids just had a blast. And also it's a summer camp, so we want to make sure that kids get a chance to run around and have fun. We also created a field trip guide with suggestions for local scientists and elders to lead kids to a local stream or river to observe salmon or survey features of a good salmon habitat. Amelia and Rebecca are going to talk a little bit more about going to Spasky Creek with some scientists over the summer. And then finally, we also developed activities that took the form of demonstrations, and these are led by elders and culture bearers, such as telling or reading a traditional story, showing how to respectfully cut salmon, leading kids in a song, dance, or craft that celebrates salmon. Okay, I mentioned the science journal. So kids in the camp, every kid received their very own science journal, and then throughout the camp, they were prompted to write and draw in it their ideas and experiences so that they could help the journal writing exercise could help kids get into the habit of reflecting on what they learned. And these journals also included some observation tips from Molly and a salmon protector checklist. And that's the one in the center. And after each kind of section of the camp, kids would get to earn a star, and then they earn 4 stars, and they get their salmon protector badge. And then, as I mentioned, it's not just the physical journal, but it's also this digital journal in the form of an app, which prompts kids to take their physical journal, pick a drawing from their journal, upload it into the app, and then they get an opportunity to audio record what they think about their drawing or to explain their drawing. And this idea of having kids record themselves, audio record, was proposed as a way to honor Indigenous traditions of oral storytelling, and also to help kids who may not be strong writers to document their thinking and ideas. It was a really fun project for our team because we've never done a voice recording app before, and it was just great. And of course, Molly is the host of the app, and I'm just going to play you the intro.
Molly's Science Journal. Gwinsey. Hey everyone, it's me, Molly. I'm excited to hear what you've been learning at camp. Tap the journal to add a new page. Or tap the frame to see all the pages we've made so far.
Hey, I am going to now turn things over to my colleagues Amelia and Rebecca to talk about implementation of the camp in Hoonah.
Great, thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone. My name is Amelia Wilson. I serve as the Executive Director of Hoonah Heritage Foundation. We are in Hoonah, Alaska. You can see on the map there, we are in Southeast. We're about 65 miles southwest of our capital of Juneau, and we are the largest Tlingit village in the universe, so we love to share that. My Tlingit name is Klagunk, and I'm here with Rebecca. We were the ones who implemented and helped with the co-design process for the camp.
Hello all, my name is Rebecca and I work here with Amelia and get to assist in the duties that we do day to day, and the Hoonah camp was a really great turnout. And also my Tlingit name is Gagech and my Yupik name is Lagavalaka. So nice to meet you all and good to see people from the region. Next slide.
So as Rebecca mentioned, we were the leads and responsible for the camp implementation. Pictured in the first picture is our elementary school Tlingit language teacher, Christina Smith, and her husband were on their boat there. That's myself on the left. And it was really wonderful to have Tlingit language included within the camp. Because Christina works in the elementary school, she already has a rapport with the kids, and even some of the songs she brought in, you know, the kids were familiar with. We had some fishing songs, and so it was really added a fun element, and including Tlingit language for, you know, the fish that we were studying, the activities we were doing. When we went on our field trip, we were singing Tlingit songs on the way out in the bus and on the way back, and so it really was just wonderful to have you know, that language person. And I highly recommend, you know, if you're doing camps, you know, to include a language expert that's appropriate for the community that you're in. I think it really adds a whole nother element. And we're always, I think, trying to find ways to integrate culture and language in what we do. And I think we overthink it sometimes. So even just having the presence of language, the presence of our songs significantly enhanced the camp experience. We also had Mary Peterson, an elder, and Ian Johnson is a scientist, local scientist that works for our tribe in the environmental department. And it was really wonderful having both our elder and our scientists participate throughout the camp, even though they only had maybe certain portions that they were leading directly, to just be able to interact and have lunch with the campers and with the staff, and really to be present and aware of what is happening throughout the camp, and really that made it seamless when it was their turn to be, leading the activity, because they were able to seamlessly draw upon what the students and the campers had been looking at and experiencing, and really helped to weave it all together. We also, because it's a short, small crew, Rebecca and I, we, and in like many of the small communities or the organizations you work in, we really wanted to draw on different resources and people that could help us. And so underneath the tribe, they have a Alaska Youth Stewards Program. It's a youth employment program. So we requested their support for the 2-day camp, and the youth crew was happy to come and help, and they really added another element to our intergenerational team. And next slide, please. So we started day one with the introduction of the staff, bringing us all forward so they can see our faces and learn who we were. And Christina is shown at the front with her drum. And we started with what's called the Glacier Bay entrance song. And it was a song that the students are familiar with. And really as a way to set a tone, and to bring the voices of our ancestors into the room, and have them present there. It was just a really beautiful way to start the camp, and then we went into watching animatics, the early animations and live action videos set in Alaska. So that was really fun for the kids to see. I'm not sure how many had experienced that before. And I really appreciated the different aspects, as Mary had mentioned. We really had a lot of hands-on activities, both indoors and outdoors, field trips, the films, the learning opportunities, and the science journals, which I think were my favorite. Next slide, please. You want to talk about?
So we got to play the Salmon life cycle role play, and so there was the spinning wheel in which they got to learn the different vocabulary words for, and so they got to just really act out being a salmon, and that was something different for them all. And they had a lot of fun with this game, and we tried to make sure that there were times where they could play. We did a lot of learning, we did a lot of focusing, and then we also made sure that we had time to play and have fun with the students too. And then based off of what they learned, they then wrote about it in their journals.
And I love the science journals. I mentioned that. I think that was one of my favorite pieces. I find that we introduce concepts like science journals, I think, a little too late. And I love that this is, a camp targeted to the 6 to 8-year-olds. And we have, adults. Our adult scientists use science journals. And so to have them have the tools and, when they're learning and observing, and then they get to draw in their science journals, and they were really eager to show. And we really loved the digital journal also, because it allowed the opportunity for them to explain what is in their photo. And so while there's beautiful artwork, no disrespect intended, but I'm not sure what I'm looking at some of the times. It's very cute, but you ask the child and there's just beautiful explanations. And so it was really fun. And even the year prior, I think we hadn't had the the app yet, and when we'd done the prior camp, but we did also ask each child what they had drawn in their photos, and we even just had adults write it on a sticky note and include that. And it's really, I encourage people to do that because it just adds such a level of depth and another element for them to narrate and explain to you. And there was so much more meaning in the pictures that they drew than you would maybe understand just looking at it. I'm really excited for you to see and hear some of the children's descriptions later in the presentation. Next slide, please.
So this was our field trip that we took out to Spasky Creek. It was about a 20-minute bus ride, and we had our scientists go out and they caught little baby salmon, and put them in little Ziplocs so that the students could observe them up close. And it was a very popular activity. We had we were very lucky and able to access our rivers, and that they were able to catch and see salmon up close. I haven't really even seen salmon up close, baby salmon at that. So that it was like a real whole new added element to this trip. And you know, again, a lot of the vocabulary and ideas that the scientists gave and told the students ended up into the science journal notebook. So like they're learning, we're all learning, but it's good to know that whenever there's something this interesting, that they're all, they're really learning about what's going on around them.
And I think to be out in the field, again, just the diversity of activities, I think was really wonderful. And we're in such a small community, we don't have a school bus. And so we had a bus available to us to go on the field trip. And I think that was even exciting for the kids to be on a bus. So just different experiences, I think, that really just helped to make it a fun experience. Next slide, please. Respectful salmon cutting. This was really wonderful. As I mentioned, our elder was with us the entire time throughout both days. And so it was really wonderful. The children were really fascinated. I think some students have exposure to how to cut salmon and they're familiar, but that also I think elevated them as able to contribute and share what they knew, and it made them feel good about having that experience already. And other students who hadn't really gotten to experience it were just super fascinated, and so it was a lot of fun. Mary did a wonderful job with cutting the salmon in fillets and steaks, and then it was cooked and served with lunch. Next slide, please.
So after we cut up the salmon and we had all our fun time, we kind of took some time to listen to a Tlingit story. And so you can see the story of Salmon Boy. And so it's a story that talks about respecting your parents and treating salmon with respect. And so and that's a lot of what our culture is based off of, respect and not doing, the bad things. And this story talks about how the boy does something bad, but he learns his lesson. And so it was good to know that there are different aspects that we can all come together and from Molly up in Denali to here in Tlingit country, that the stories all have the same ideas of being respectful.
And Mary was also able to weave in aspects from the Molly of Denali videos that we watched that really helped to reinforce our traditional story and just kind of enhanced the message of respect for salmon, respect for others. Next slide, please.
And so there we get, and then here we are, Salmon Tag, the game that Mary mentioned earlier. Yeah, and talking about, predator prey and what it's like to be out in the wilderness as a salmon. you know, the students get to understand like how the science works. And so they got to be a krill or a salmon or a predator of a salmon, like an eagle or an orca or a bear. And so here you could see the youth stewards playing with them and making it really fun. So yeah, next slide, please.
Celebrating salmon. This was really fun because we wanted to make sure that, you know, we've learned a lot. We've learned about the life cycles and you know, the food web and how to treat the salmon. And in talking with the children about salmon, you know, we talked about how do you celebrate salmon, so it was wonderful to hear from them. Pictured here is Christina and her daughter. They're on the left with Rebecca, and we're singing songs that were fish songs and salmon songs. And we also did a craft that the students could take home with them. Next slide, please.
And so then at the very end, we got to award, because of the layout of the camp, each one of the videos, each one of the things leads you up to getting check marks, and then you get to receive a salmon protector badge. And so we called up the students one by one, and they were able to get a salmon protector badge and shake our hands. And that was a really great thing because it made them feel important, and it helped them understand, like, you know, we're all a part of this world, and we have to do each one of our things, and you can do that too as a student. Like, students, you can protect salmon too and learn about this right now. So that way, when they get older, it's not new information, as mentioned earlier.
And the students were really excited about earning the badge. The badges were actually really cool. So even the adults were excited about earning a badge and getting a badge as well. And so it was just a lot of fun activities, like Rebecca said, that led the students to the earning of the badge, which they were really excited about. The next slide, please.
And so kids drew in their salmon journal, and and I just want to say that, you know, as a parent, my child went to this camp, and as a parent, it was really cool to see, like, the memories that we shared together. And it's meaningful for science and feedback and the ladies who needed the information, but it was also meaningful for me as a parent, because you know, that was like an intimate moment for my child and I, and they remembered that, and getting to see that shared out, you know, it's a different kind of feeling. And so I was really happy with the journal drawings and that they were able to share the stories. In this journal drawing, it shows a child that drew a small fish being eaten by a salmon, which is being then eaten by an orca. So we wanted to include, they wanted to include that they eat them in gratefulness. And so you're going to see this in the next video about using the Science Journal app. Next slide, please. And then here is for Hoonah.
The story is about the eggs. Well, the eggs are so tiny, so I gave them some water, and then we saw real fishes, and so I like the eggs. When I do the eggs, they are actually cool, and then I like them. I get my fork and my knife to cut it up, and when I'm done eating, I'm gonna put all my stuff in the dishwasher, but I still have some one sauce, and the blue sauce is the sauce. The red cup is a cup. So I added some juice with the cup. That way I can have juice to my food. My sister, they went to do food. As we all know, we're at Molly of Denali camp with a bunch of people. We were all supposed to pick drawings in our journal. This was mine. It's salmon eggs. To the people in Alaska, salmon eggs are really important. It keeps the cycle going so we can have fish. Sometimes there can be some deformed ones, like from the bottom right, you can see a brown and a little shriveled black one. Sometimes not all the egg can hatch, and sometimes there can be 2 in 1, but that's not really common. So yeah, they have like the little red, and those little dots are fish. Thank you for listening.
You want me to do this slide?
Sure. Thank you, Mary.
Sure. So the next 2 slides are just really highlights from the research that was conducted. And the study was conducted by Dr. Carrie Green of South Dakota State University and Dr. Angela Lunda from University of Alaska Southeast. So these are just, kind of some of the highlights from the children's findings. They, as I think Amelia and Rebecca said, I mean, the kids are already have knowledge. And what the camp did was honor that knowledge and provide opportunities for kids to share their knowledge. And then there were opportunities for kids to learn, and the camp provided that as well. I mean, I think the kids had fun. They loved both the indoor and outdoor activities, and the hands-on aspect was really important. And as Amelia and Rebecca have said, I mean, the journals were popular with everyone, with kids as well as adults, and having the digital app is just even more fun. And then what is super significant, I think, is that the presence of elders, local culture bearers, and more experienced peers really strengthened the program. There was a lot of modeling going on during the camp, and the sharing of traditional ecological knowledge. I don't know, Amelia and Rebecca, if you have anything to add to that?
I think it really, as Mary said in the beginning, the target age range was 6 to 8 years old, and in small villages, especially, I think, and even in our large, urban communities, if you have a family that has, say a 6 or 7 year old, but maybe a 9-year-old sibling or a 5-year-old sibling, I think we just want to be welcoming to everyone and not turn away like, well, you're not in the target range. So we did have a range of students, but I loved that kids were so excited. And I feel like, the inclusion of Molly of Denali and, a popular cartoon character that's relatable to our children really enhanced and made it fun and exciting. And the inclusion of, the videos and the animatics was just really wonderful, and as well as being able to adapt it specifically to our community, and having like our language expert, one of our elders, one of our science experts, really just help to localize it and enhance what we couldn't have done on our own, which was that expertise and the development of all the materials that GBH brought to us, and really provided a model that's replicable. And I think that that's the most exciting part is, for the past 2 years, having done the camp with with GBH, with PBS, with the Molly of Denali crew, and providing us a foundation that we can build on post-project.
Okay, so these are just some highlights from the adult findings. The adults were interviewed and they rated the camp out of 4.7, which is very positive. They liked different aspects of the camp, including the live action, pulling the salmon scales and doing ASL testing. And then again, something really significant is seeing real scientists using real tools was important, and also seeing their ancestors as true scientists. And so I don't know, Amelia and Rebecca, if you have anything to add to the adult findings.
No, I think also just to say that we really took time to spend with, we've got Mary Haggerty here, who is coming all the way from Boston with her colleague, and folks from throughout the state of Alaska into our community. And I think that if any of your communities or departments that you work under plan to try to do a co-design process, I'd highly encourage it, and to allow for time, because it did take a lot of time, and it was, I think you get what you put into it. And by taking time to spend with one another, we went out into the field, shared our community, had shared meals, really took time to go over materials, listen and learn together. And so that, I think, is really ultimately what led to such a successful model that resulted in a meaningful camp experience. So take some time to work with those that you're co-creating with.
Yeah, and this camp was about like the land and being, a part of this. And so Amelia really wanted to make sure that the ladies that came down got to know what Huna's like. Like Amelia showed them, her world, and picking tea and getting crab, and, being able to go out and get like the foods all around us. It was a really good integral part of, what's happening here, what's the history here, what's going on. So it was cool to get to, have that role model of sharing what's going on here. And yeah, being a great host. Like Amelia's a great host and sharing for Molly. Yeah.
Okay, so this is our second to last slide. So what's next, just really quickly, we're publishing about the initiative. We will work with Melinda to get you links to articles if you're interested. We're doing conferences and webinars like today. We're also looking for funding to scale up. And then I'm going to turn things over to Amelia to talk about some of her and Rebecca's scale up ideas. And then I'll just come back and show you a toolkit, an event toolkit that you can access right now. So I'll turn it over to Amelia and Rebecca to talk about your plans for this summer.
Thank you, Mary. We're just excited. As part of this project, we spent the last 2 summers providing the camp experience. And so we really wanted to ensure that we're continuing to provide the camp, because in our community, and I think most communities, the younger age of a child doesn't have as many opportunities as older children, youth, and teenagers especially, who are at employment age. And so it's really a great age range to provide something for. And so we are going to be still including Molly and Molly of Denali aspects, but we're going to do on our own camp experience this summer, based on the model that we've been using and co-created with PBS and with the Molly of Denali crew, because it was so successful and it worked so well. The kids had fun. We had an amazing turnout, and our theme this year will be on berries. So we'll have a berry camp.
Hey, and just really quickly, these are just some images from an event toolkit that was drawn from the camp. The camp is still considered prototype, it's still draft, so we can't disseminate it. But if you like what you heard today and would like to do like a half-day event for kids and families, we have a great toolkit. It's all free, and we'll show you how to create your own salmon life cycle wheel necklaces and everything. So I'm gonna turn things over to I think we can hop out for Q&A, I think. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'll turn things over to Melinda.
That was just so enjoyable to watch. Again, something really positive and exciting. And I just really like the whole idea of the community coming together and supporting, as well as I just want to stress a point that Rebecca made, which I felt was so true, is that I felt like Hoonah did an excellent job, especially with Amelia and Rebecca, hosting and really building a collaborative co-development team. And so thinking about that, and all the work that might be done at the local level in terms of, programming on for a certain age group, as well as, if you're looking at combining a couple of different knowledge systems like mainstream science and traditional knowledge, but in this case also bringing in the use of technology and a character like Molly. So yeah, just exciting to see. So I just want to open it up to see if there's any questions online. We probably we only have 3 minutes, so it's not a lot, but can we take 1 or 2 questions from anybody who might have one? There's not anything in the chat, but if you want to raise your hand, you're welcome to. All right. Well, we don't see any there, but I just want to say, I mean, I guess I had one question that might be helpful, Mary, for you. Oh, Rose, Rose.
Yeah, it's Roz. Yeah, so my question
Roz.
is, maybe I missed it, but how do we access the mini toolkit or whatever we can use this year? Where do we get access to that material?
Oh, yeah. So we have curated all of the elements for the event toolkit in a Google folder. Melinda has that link, and we'll figure out a way to get that link to you. And we've set the setting on anyone who has the link can download the materials. And then also, if you all have any questions about it, just contact us. We'd be happy to answer any questions or to even do like a Zoom presentation on the event kit, if that would be helpful, just to walk you through it. And we'd love to introduce you to Stephanie McFadden from AKPM. She just used the toolkit, the event toolkit at 2 events, one in Anchorage, one in Seward, and it was really popular. But again, I want to credit Amelia and Rebecca and Melinda and the rest of our co-developers, because there would be no event toolkit if there were not a salmon protector camp. So it's all connected.
And we will list on our AKTRLN information session webpage this presentation, as well as any resources that GBH is at the stage where they can release them. So if you don't see it there, then I know that Mary is very much approachable, and and you can always get a hold of us, and we can connect you as well. So I see one more question. We'll go ahead and take that. That's in the chat. Unless Catherine, do you want to unmute to ask any of that 3-part question? Oh, okay. So it looks like she's suggesting some additional things that can be included. And yeah, we just really recognize that, you know, each community can really take some of this material and add what they feel would work for both their age group as well as their community and culturally. I think that that's the intent of this. You know, it can be delivered, and then also look at, you know, if you're looking at, you know, the area of resilience and the impact that climate and our fast changing environment is having, is that, you know, we often look at a word that's used in science is key species, right? Like or key cultural species. So we know that salmon is that in Southeast, you know, like also the cedar tree is that, you know, in other areas of Alaska, it might be marine mammals or moose in our area. So you can take and adapt this. And then because Molly herself had a indigenous team that worked over the course of creating Molly and all the different episodes, there's quite a bit out there. Like there's a Molly of Denali episode that looks at permafrost, right? And we know that some of you are from coastal villages and you're dealing with that. So in the array of Molly materials, you may find something that you can build upon that might be outside of the scope of the camp materials, but still have materials there that you can pull from Molly and then tweak it for something that you
Melinda.
find deliverable. Yes.
This
Oh,
is
there you are,
Kathy.
Catherine. Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, the reason why I asked that could it be possible to include how we take care of the salmon normally from start to finish, like when we clean up the area first to sanitize it basically, and then separating all the guts to be disposed of properly. There's different ways of doing that from what I learned. One, it could be cooked for the dogs, and there's a spiritual thing about feeding the people who had who were lost and never found, whether at the land or the sea. And there's two different ways of doing that as well. Because in return, on the long run, it'll always come back to you, and that is what I grew up believing.
And if I may, Melinda, thank you so much, Catherine. This is exactly what we did throughout the camp, and the importance of having, I think, a cultural organization like ours, and we had a limited time to share out, but you're exactly right. That's important, and exactly why we want our cultural knowledge bearers and our cultural organizations having that integral, role in the implementation and the design of the experience. And we did go over that. Our elder did as part of that process of learning how to cut the salmon. It included the preparation. It included, what to do with the parts. Here we use it for crab bait typically. It can also be shared with your pets, and the cleanliness prior and after, certainly. And we believe here in Hoonah that everything has a spirit, and so our salmon have a spirit, and the waters, the land around us, that you treat these things with respect. The story that was read was important in also furthering that message of respecting salmon, and that was a traditional Tlingit story. And I think that's the point you bring up about all these different elements is so wonderful in catering it to your individual community. And I think there's a lot of different organizations and entities present today. And I think that's so wonderful. And I think the co-design process really is taking, you know, a couple different entities and coming together, pooling resources and saying, how do we create a meaningful experience for our children in our community? And it may look different community to community, but there are so many resources that we each may only have a few, but when we, you know, combine them, you can really adapt, you know, this type of model and draw from, you know, the different tribal organizations, or, you know, I think I saw some, you know, cultural and educational as well. So just, I hope some of this was helpful and just food for thought for creating your own camp experiences in your communities.
That's great.
Yes.
One of the things that I've noticed the elderly men would look after other families as well is they would ask them to get a few more of this and that, and we'd always have to prepare for, especially the elderly, to clean it, gut it, prepared for cooking. And once we get to the elderly's house, we'd always cook for them, and afterwards clean up their kitchen, whatever, get them 5 gallon of water, drinking water for them, stuff like that.
So wonderful.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for your comments there, Catherine and Amelia, for expanding upon those. And yes, you know, this was also delivered in Southwest Alaska in Bethel. And so every community has a different experience and their different beliefs to bring in and to really make it their own. So we're really happy for our guests. Thank you, Amelia and Rebecca and Mary, for sharing and those beautiful slides and pictures and hearing the stories. It's just a positive thing to hear. And again, like I said earlier, that, you know, these days seem to be really stressful on a lot of our communities with some of the changes that we're facing. And it's great to hear some programming that's so positive and an experience that's so positive. So I appreciate all of you who had joined, and watch for the material that will be coming out on the AKTRLM webpage. So take care all and have a happy spring. Okay. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Should we hang back or?